All right, Jake, the first question is always the easiest, but it tends to be a longer one. How did you accidentally fall into franchising? How did you find your way to Layne's?
I found my way to Layne's. I previously owned another business out of Denver that I ended up selling. My wife and I moved back kind of home to the south, so back to East Texas, Arkansas area, and ran into Layne's. After kind of deciding what was next, kind of went through the gamut of flying all over, talking to different franchises around the country, and just I fell in love with what Layne's had to offer.
Were you, when you're looking at these other franchise opportunities, and obviously you're a smart business person that is now looking for the next thing, you go and you see these other brands. Did you get to this discovery day stage, or was it more on the periphery you were looking at businesses?
Both. I went to several discovery days. Most of them I was kind of able to check off the list before that ever happened.
Oh, interesting. So out of curiosity, you go to discovery day. What is the swing? I know what the culture is at Layne's, but what is the swing that made you say no to the other brands that you looked at?
A lot of it was executive team. Their executive team that just I didn't necessarily feel as comfortable with. Some of it was other franchisees that I thought that maybe weren't a good fit. That probably scared me away as much as anything.
Yeah, I'm always fascinated by that. When I've talked with franchisees and I say, give me the final things that push you over the edge. It's only one of two things. It's the business model has to be strong, and it's the culture. I had a franchisee, a restaurant, longtime restaurant employee, and you're on the kind of the reverse side, but long-term restaurant employee moved his way up. He wanted to buy into a restaurant brand. He went to Discovery Day, and he's like, it was so bad that he ended up buying into a flooring franchise. He was like, I'm going polar opposite because it just didn't align. And so sure. I think it's fascinating because you're sitting in that room, and I think sometimes franchisors think that they're vetting you, but it's a mutual vetting of each other to make sure that culturally aligns and that you actually want to be a part of that club.
Correct.
So you had a landscaping business, right? You built that up.
Yes.
Why food, or did food not matter in this case? It was more a culture fit.
So I think twofold for me. What really got me interested was the opportunity to go and develop real estate.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, it kind of stemmed into what operating business can I put in this real estate to allow myself to go and do this faster and to grow faster and be more successful. And, I too looked at several different concepts, not limited to food. I think ultimately, that's just kind of the way everything aligned was. Let's go do something in the food segment industry. And then again, once I met the Layne's team, it was almost instantaneous. I almost knew instantly that this is the direction that I'm headed.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by that too, because when I talk with the Layne's team, and I've said this to them, I've said, in a polite way, I go, you guys are in the real estate business that happens to be in chicken fingers. Correct. I go, but what's weird is the food is actually really good. So it's like, it's very confusing. Like, is it a great restaurant brand? Is it a great real estate brand? And so it's weird to see these two being married with each other in this scenario. It's a rare thing in franchising.
Sure. No, the food, the menu's fantastic. The menu's got a ton to offer. And then from the real estate perspective, they've got a great real estate team from site selection to construction. I can go and, we've got a gorgeous building that I can go and build, quite frankly, 20 or 25% cheaper than what I was able to with other concepts, that includes building and FF&E.
Do you think that last part on being able to build in an optimized model. Is that a gap that some franchisors probably aren't solving, that it's such an important gap to fill? Is that, like, when you were discovering this, is that a gap that franchisors just don't solve?
It's incredible to me that more franchisees can't see that or don't recognize that, because at the end of the day, whether you're building your own real estate or you're not, you've got a ton of money invested in a franchise. So ultimately, just like any other business, you want to be able to make a return. And when the franchisee, there's so much equipment you've got to purchase, and your building becomes so expensive that they don't allow that to happen, it becomes a problem.
Well, that's where so many single unit franchisees stall out. Even if they have a dream of becoming a multi-unit operator, they stall out because they didn't have the right capital backing going into it. They got into it, it cost much more money than they expected, and now they're pinching pennies trying to just keep the business alive, and it eliminates scale, which in turn, then when someone else is looking at the business, then if it's a whole bunch of one unit franchisees, it's probably telling signals that for someone that wants to build a scaling portfolio, it might not be the right match.
Correct. Yes.
So back to your first business, being in landscaping, did you get into that business with a dream to exit, or did exit just kind of come into the picture? Talk me through that part of your story.
I didn't necessarily get into it with a plan to exit, but we had a great business. It grew extremely fast. It did extremely well. We had some great people around us, and a couple of years in, we started getting, people started reaching out from different private equity groups asking about our level of interest to sell. And I'd always said no until I finally didn't. So, I think it was really what we looked at it was as an opportunity for, again, us to kind of get closer to home. My wife and I just started a family, so it allows us to be able to raise our family around friends and family. So that was really big. So yeah, it was a right time, right place.
Out of curiosity, because I'm very fascinated by the exit, and look, the benefit of being in a franchise is you're attaching to a brand and obviously a real estate portfolio that someday you could exit from that as well. When the ink dried and you've now exited a business that you built, do you feel happy? Do you feel lost? Do you feel confused? Like what was going through your mind at that point? Because you built something tremendous.
I think every one of those emotions you get to feel. So it's not limited to one or two. It's all of them.
Do you find yourself talking a lot inside your brain, trying to navigate? Like, because again, like checkmark, you built success in the definition of the way that we've set up success.
Yeah, I mean, constantly, but not necessarily limited to the exit of a business, but, yeah, I mean, I think I'd stay in my head a lot, kind of trying to figure out what the next move is and how to do it successfully.
So how do you find the juice to be motivated going into another business after you just had success?
I think it's something that's kind of in your DNA, really. I love creating opportunities for myself. I love creating opportunities for other people. And I love to take an idea from concept and then the growth phase to get from point A to point B. It truly is the most rewarding thing, at least for me, that I've ever been able to do.
What's your dream with Layne's now?
That's a tough question to answer entirely. I think that a lot of it is kind of one location at a time. Right now, today, it's let's make sure that our first location, we continue to strive for quality. We've got location number 2 underway. So, yeah, I want to stay focused on the today, really.
Well, if I listen to some of the words that you're using throughout all of your answers, it keeps on coming. It points back to people. Like if you can build great people around you, then it seems like you can build a great business. And that goes to even the way that you're evaluating the franchisors. You're looking at great people on two sides. One, who's the leadership team? Do I believe in their vision for where they could take me and my family? And obviously even the competitive nature of building something to scale. Then you talk with the franchisees and you're like, hey, I'm not sure why they got let into the club. And then you talk about the landscaping business and they said, I had great people around me. And now you're talking about scaling one unit at a time. It's great people. Is that, like, as simple as it is people the answer to scale and success?
In my opinion, 100%.
So now that you're in Layne's, just out of curiosity, obviously you can build a team, a tremendous team for a landscaping business. It's probably a little bit of a different team build to Layne's. Are there any fundamentals that you're cross applying to this journey that doesn't matter what the widget ends up being?
I think at the end of the day, at least what I'm looking for is character in an individual. So I went out and I found an operating partner who I believe is the best that exists.
Yeah.
Not only from a talent standpoint, but just at the same time, somebody that I've got a tremendous amount of respect and appreciation for. So I think when that feeling is mutual and both parties are able to bring something to the table, then it can create a lot of chemistry and a lot of fun.
Well, there's another magic piece in what you just said. Like, some human beings have, and they can certainly have both, but capital in the cash sense. Some people have capital in the character sense and might not have the capital on the financial side. And when those two things get married well together, now all of a sudden that character or the hustle or the grit currency ends up being such an intangible because it could actually be worth more than money itself.
Absolutely. Agreed.
So, okay, so let's end this part on this. If there's someone looking at Layne's, I mean, what I hear from you is, hey, Layne's, protect the club. Don't let in bad franchisees. We have something beautiful here, a mixture of product and real estate, and then obviously the leadership team that has a vision to win. Doesn't need to win. They've had success much like you before they got to this. Is there anything else that if someone's thinking about this that you want them to know about the opportunity?
Layne's is, again, I mean, Layne's is a great brand. It's new. So that kind of comes with its own challenges, but we're figuring it out. We're figuring it out very quickly. And we're having a lot of fun.
Love it. Well, Jake, thanks for sharing some of your story with us today. I wish you nothing but the best of luck and looking forward to where your story goes.
Thank you so much.
For Jake, I'm Nick. This is another episode of Meet the